You guys know I know Don Bear did it yesterday. There's going to be a few of us that are going to be switching throughout the couple weeks. And I think I know some of you guys don't know everybody, so I'll just give you my quick background. I actually studied here at Aish many years ago. I walked in the door. I was looking for an ulpan to learn some Hebrew. And I actually didn't walk in the door. I walked in. Do you guys know Jeff Seidel? Yeah. So I walked into Jeff Seidel's office. I was literally walking around with a Torah book, touring Israel. You know, and I wanted to find an ulpan. So I saw a sign that said Jewish Student Information Center. I was like, I'll ask them if they know anything about an ulpan. And I walked in, and they're like, oh yeah, we know this great place. Next thing I know, Rabbi Schwartz, Rabbi Stu Schwartz, who runs Essentials. I don't know if you guys know him. So he came and got me. And it's actually a funny story. I don't remember this, but he told the story that supposedly it was pouring rain, which I don't remember. I guess it makes sense because it was January. And he said it was pouring rain, and he gets a phone call from Jeff Seidel's office. We got this guy here. He's looking for an ulpan. Do you want to come bring him over to Aish? And he was like, it's pouring rain. Nah, forget it. Like, I'm not. And then he's like, you know what? Okay, fine, I'll do it. He got up, and it was me. And he came and got me and brought me over to Aish. And there was an ulpan that they had every day. Also, yeah. That's originally why I went. I didn't know there was anything else. I thought they were taking me to an ulpan. And I met Rabbi Noach Weinberg, sat in one of his classes, and Rabbi Mathias, and all these different teachers. And I was like, I'm never going to do any of this stuff, but at least I should learn a little bit more about what it means to be a Jew. I had this opportunity, and I wound up staying at Aish for about 4.5 years.
Wow.
And I was on my path to get smicha. I decided I wanted to do that, and then when I was here as a student, I started a program called the Hasbara Fellowships. Have you guys heard of it? I started that. Yeah. You know the Hasbara Fellowships?
Yeah. A lot of my friends in Tulane did it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I started that as I was a student here. And that's a whole story of how I did that. And Rabbi Noach, I remember when I came back and I told him, because we got the initial money to do that program from the Foreign Ministry of Israel. And which is a whole story within itself. And I remember I told Rabbi Weinberg, I came back and I said, they're giving us a grant to do it. And he slapped me in the face. You guys know like Mathias patches? This was a real slap, right? And he was like, Mashiach is coming. He's like, if the Foreign Ministry of Israel, this like left-wing, secular, they're giving money to Aish, to bring students to Israel. He's like, Mashiach is coming. And so I did that for many years in America, running the Hasbara Fellowships. And the idea of Hasbara Fellowships was really to give students tools to stand up for Israel on campus, but really, why we did it is because we recognize for so many young people, especially people that are less affiliated, Israel is the one thing they still feel connected to. And when Israel is being bashed and Israel is being attacked, their Judaism is being attacked because that is their Jewish identity. But the trip, we would bring them here on a trip to give them the tools to go back to their campus to deal with it, but we would bring them to Aish. So they would come for Shabbat, and they would come for the classes here, and they'd be part of Aish, which was very powerful. So I did that for a bunch of years, and then in around 2017, I decided to move on, and I took over running Aish in New York. So I was running Aish in New York for a number of years. We had a center on the Upper West Side and the Lower East Side, if people are familiar a little with New York. And then the last 3-4 years, I've been working with Aish Global. I from New York. I was overseeing sort of our expansion that we were doing online. So like with social media, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. And then this last 6-7 months, we made Aliyah with my family. So now we're here, and I'm getting my footing and figuring out my role, and we'll go from there. So I've had, thank God, a lot of experience working with people, and basically everything I know about talking to secular Jews, to getting people inspired about Judaism. First of all, it's from my own experience as someone who went through that process. But basically, I learned everything from Rabbi Weinberg, from Rabbi Noach Weinberg, right? And Rabbi Noach Weinberg, he was literally what he created there's nothing perfect, but he really worked on perfecting his craft of how do you present Judaism to someone who literally knows nothing and has no interest. How do we present Judaism to them in a way that can pique their interest and get them to say, wow, this is actually something that I want to learn more about. So in my part of what I'm going to be doing in this series is that I put together what I call the 10 paradigm shifts, right? The 10 ideas that I find when you present them to someone who has not really been exposed to Judaism. By the way, I find this even if you present it to people who have been exposed to Judaism, these are still paradigm shifts that they're like, oh wow, I never saw Judaism like that. I never thought that's what Judaism was about. And for me, I teach a lot, thank God. I teach. I teach in foundations every week. I teach at the seminary. I teach people back in New York online. I teach donors. I have groups coming, and there's all different things I teach. Right, just on a weekly basis. I'm going to tell you this because I'm going to make a point after it. I don't want to just tell you what I teach, but my point is, so I teach, for example, the 48 ways here in foundations at the girls' seminary. I'm doing the 613 commandments, 613 mitzvot. We're literally going through the entire 613 mitzvot, which is fascinating, according to the 14 books of the Rambam. So if anyone knows the books of the Rambam,
we need that here too. But
yeah, you requested it.
I don't know why.
It's an important thing, but we learn Gemara all day, which is great. But we also need the 613.
Requested, and I'm happy to do it. But try, by the way, to take a bunch of girls who, some of them literally, this is the first, second, third day they've ever been in a seminar, and try teaching them Sefer Kinyan. So if anyone knows what that is, those are the laws of how to acquire and buy and sell and give gifts. It's like the most technical things, but they're part of the 613 mitzvot, right? So how do you do that, right? How do you teach that? I learn with some people the weekly parsha, right? Or I shouldn't say that. Actually, I don't even, it's not even the weekly parsha. I just go through the whole chumash with them, right? So, but what I've come to learn is that no matter what I'm teaching, right? These 10 ideas is basically what I'm always going back to and trying to get into whatever I'm teaching. Because I find these are the things that people, it's not only are they paradigm shifts of, wow, I never saw Judaism that way. You can get people interested, but they're actually what I find the core hashkafic ideas of what Judaism is about, right? And this is why even when I meet or I sometimes teach, I remember when I was a bacher, student here, and we used to do discovery seminar every Sunday during like the busy seasons, and then the non-busy seasons would be every other Sunday. And I was a madrich on it. So like as a student, I would go and I would like meet the people coming and schmooze with them a little bit. And I remember once in a while, yeshivas would come. Full yeshivas would come to hear discovery. And I was just always like, don't you guys know this? Like, didn't you? And they're like, no, we've never heard any of this in our lives, right? And I came to really realize that this is the secret sauce that we have, because, I see it now with my kids, right? I have kids and they've gone through the full Jewish system. And mainly what it's focused on is what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. It doesn't really focus on why, right? The why we're supposed to do it. But when you're dealing with people that are not right religious and connected, and this Judaism is the first time that they haven't really thought about it, you have to start with the why, right? Okay, so that's the preface. So I want to go through these 10. I'm not going to go through them all today, obviously. We'll go through a few at a time. And hopefully, I hope you've heard these ideas before, some of them, because like I said, I got these all from Rabbi Noach Weinberg. This is all, to me, is like core Aish ideas. But like I said, I found that these are really, really, really powerful ideas to speak to people about and to pique people's interest. Okay. So the first three, we'll see if we'll get through all three today. They really are a similar approach, okay? And the first one, the way that I define it is that there are universal drives that every person wants, right? Every person wants the same things, right? What would I say? What would you say? What does every person want? Happiness. What else? Success. What else? Safety, okay. Family, meaning. And what else?
To be the best.
To be the best. To be great. I agree. To be great. Right? Every human being wants these things. These are universal. These are not just Jewish people, right? Every human being wants to be great. I always when I speak to groups, so sometimes when I want to talk about this, I'll always start by anybody here wake up this morning and say, I want to be mediocre? Right? Anyone's goal in life here is to be average. Nobody says that, right? We all want to be great. We all want to accomplish great things. That is a universal of every human being. Or the same thing, right? Anybody wake up this morning and decide today, you know what? I just think today I'm going to be miserable. right? Now, some people act that way, right? Unfortunately, I know a lot of people that way, right? We make ourselves miserable. No one wakes up in the morning saying, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna be miserable. Or today I'm just gonna have a meaningless day. Right? There's certain things that we're all driven, and you guys hit them right on the head. Being happy, having meaning, being great. Everyone wants to feel like they're worth something, that they have self-worth, right? So what I find is one of these core ideas is, first of all, showing that to people. And like I did, you can do it in a funny way, right? Like saying to people, like, hey, you want to be miserable, because everyone gets it right away. And then once you show them that is what they want, and by the way, that's what every person wants. The question is, how do we get it? How does a person get happiness? How does a person get meaning, right? So you guys all know the line that Rabbi Noah Weinberg would always use with people when he would first class. I think the first class I ever had with him, right? When he would ask people,
does money buy happiness?
Close. He would ask people, would you rather be happy or rich? How many people have heard that question before here? Okay, not everybody. Okay, so you ever be happy or rich, right? What's the answer?
Happy.
So I always say it's both. Okay, but that's cheating, right?
That's the Matthew Burger.
Yeah, that's what he says, both, right? Both, why not, right? Okay, but no, you can only have one or the other. So Rabbi Noah would always say, okay, everyone says, almost everyone says happy, right? So he would say, great, we have the secret to happiness, right? Right, but I'll give it to you on condition that you stay here at Aish for a month and learn more about your Judaism, and then I'll tell you the secret to happiness, right? So what did guy say? Sorry, Rabbi, I gotta catch a flight, I got a job, I gotta get back to school. He's like, yeah, I understand. So okay, you know what? You see that bag back there in the corner? There's $5 million in that bag. It's yours if you stay. There's not really a bag back there, don't worry. Sorry to spoil it for you. $5 million in that bag. All you got to do is stay for 30 days and learn about your Judaism. Great, Rabbi, where do I sign up? Wait, what about your job? What about your I'll figure it out, right? What would you rather be, happy or rich? Right? So gets people to really think, right? Where do our actions so often don't line up with what we know is really true, right? But that's true. But showing people this is what you really want. By the way, that battle right there between the money and happiness, that's going to be point number 2. We're going to get there. So remember, put that on the side for a second. But this part of number 1 is, again, this understanding that these are universals. Everybody wants them. And then if we can show people that they don't really know how to attain them, right? You go to school for 20 years to get a degree and you get to become a business person or a doctor, but do you know how to be happy? Do you know how to have meaning in your life, right? Do they teach you that anywhere, right? Nowhere, right? By the way, the happy versus rich, right? So another way sometimes I say it to people is, how much time of your week, this works better with people that are working, but how much time of your week do you spend on making money, and how much time of your week do you spend on trying to be happy, right? And again, or how much time of your week do you spend on, again, having money, or how much time of your week do you spend on trying to have meaning in your life, right? And people, we all, by the way, we all see that. We're like, thank God, we're an amazing place, right? And there's not very many places like a yeshiva where you're spending 95% of no one here is spending money when they're getting rich, right? But most people, even though they know they want these things, and these are the most essential things that that's going to make them feel fulfilled in life, they don't know how to get them, and they're not really focused on figuring out how to get it either. Yeah.
So I would say that applies to the overwhelming majority of people. But let's say there's some people, and I met one, who truly believes it's one and the same, meaning all the time they spend working every day, that is what makes them happy, and making money is what makes them happy. They feel happy. Are you fooling yourself, or somehow I can't really tell them what actually it is.
So that's going to be point number 3. That's gonna be. It's great you're asking that question, because I didn't even think of the connections, but we're gonna get there. Okay, we're gonna get there, because that's true. And by the way, a lot of people feel like I am happy. I do have meaning. I do, right? Now, sometimes those people, so even more so than can appreciate Judaism, because those are the things they really value. Sometimes you do get people like that. Like you're saying, where like they're just very content with what they have.
I like my job,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy. Like, what do I need it for, right? Okay, so we'll get there. But for most people, again, what I find is it hits them between the eyes. Like they recognize, like, yeah, this is stuff I want. I don't really think about this stuff. I don't know how to get it, right?
It's because we've been conditioned into it, though. You said for 20 years that they're all spent saying this is the way you do live life, and therefore anything that's why that problem comes where I can't stay here.
Absolutely. This is called a midlife crisis, right? Someone basically, none of you guys are old enough to have midlife crisis yet. But what's a midlife crisis? Where like you've been going in the the rat race, right? And you're successful and you got the money and you got the job and you got the family and this and the car and you're like, wait, what is this all about, right? And it hits you because no one, your insides are telling you this. You missed something, but no one was telling you that on the outside, right? So the first step in this first point is showing people that we all really want the same thing. These are universal drives that every person wants. Number two is to show them that they don't have a plan really to get it for most people. And it's not to blame them. I always say myself, like it's all of us, right? We're all in the same boat, right? How much time do we all spend on doing this and doing that? But then showing them that there's something missing. And then the third part, like I said, is then showing them that Judaism has the answer. And this is where I love to talk about that Judaism gives us the instructions of how to be happy, how to have meaning, how to be great, right? But what it does it in the most unique way that is completely counter the way that secular society tells you how to accomplish these things. That's some loud screaming. I don't know what's going on there. Sounds like it's like literally right on our door, right?
The window open? No.
No.
Okay. It's a megaphone.
Yeah. So what does that mean? So I won't necessarily open up Pirkei Avos and teach this to people. You can, depending on the situation. But I believe that one of the most profound Mishnahs in Pirkei Avos, right, is the first Mishnah in the fourth paragraph, Ben Zoma, right? And it frames how Judaism is different, right? And these points. Wait, so what does Ben Zoma say, right? Ben Zoma asks 4 questions, right? So what are the 4 questions, right? What's that?
Who's Ashir?
Very good. Ezehu Asher, who's a rich person. And what does Judaism say? Who's a rich person?
One who's happy with his lot.
Right. A Samech B'chalko. Right. Number 2 is Ezehu Chacham, who's a wise person. It doesn't matter the order. It's okay. Who's a wise person? Someone who learns from every other person. Ezehu Gibor, who's a strong person. One who controls himself, overcomes their own Yetzer Hara. Yeah. And what's the 4th one? Anyone know? Ezehu Mikubad, who's an honored person. And what's the answer? Someone who honors others. Now, what is the common denominator of all 4 of those things?
Someone that recognizes other people. Or
Samech B'chelko, maybe. Not. I hear you.
Something that it's not so focused on, like
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice. Is Samech B'chelko, but being happy with your lot, is that a sacrifice?
It's kind of like
humility.
Like ego.
Humility, okay.
It's all about like the inside. It's not about the external.
It's all things that we can control. It's all, right? What does society tell you? Who's an honored person? How many likes I get on social media, how much press I get, how many times people talk about me. I can't control that. Who's a strong person? Someone who's stronger than other people. Well, I can't control if someone's stronger than me. Maybe they work out more than me. Maybe they're bigger than me, right? Who's a wise person? A person who has the most degrees, or other people tell them how smart they are, right? And what's the last one? Who's a rich person or an honored person? Oh, honored person, no, that was the first one. Who's a rich person? Well, Talmud says if you have $1, you always want 2, right? Because we're always comparing ourselves to someone else. That's what a rich person is. I need to get higher on the list, right? They're all external. Judaism says all these things are internal. We can control them. It's how do we treat other people, like we said, or how do I look at the world? But it's up to me, right? I control if I'm happy. I control if I'm honored. I control if I'm rich or if I'm strong. So once we show people, again, number 1, this is what we all want. Number 2 is it's not out there. You're not getting it anywhere. Number 3, Judaism has the answer. And guess what? What Judaism teaches you, you control it. You can do it, right? It's up to us if we want those things. People's minds are blown. Yeah?
So, am I understanding correctly that those four principles from Ben Zoma, those four pieces of advice, that is how you achieve happiness?
So it's a good question. So going back to Rab Noach said, I'll tell you the secret to happiness. So he always answered it as no. Ezehu Asher, who's a rich person, Misameach Bechalko, someone who's happy in their portion. I mean, the secret to happiness is being happy with what we have, right? If it's always, I will be happy when I get that degree, I get that job, I get that wife, I get that, then I'll be happy. Then we're never happy. Even when you get that thing, you're never happy, right? So that's really the secret to happiness. Secret to happiness is being happy with what we have. Those other ones, yeah, they all contribute, right? But again, those are all answering the questions. How do I become great? Become great, right? By honoring other people, by gaining wisdom from other people. It's all about things that I can control as opposed to what the outside world is going to tell me. So this idea, this first one, these universal drives that every person's striving for, this is really showing people at the core, Judaism has exactly what you want, right? Because we were saying before, most people say, no, I have it. Most people look at Judaism as it's religion, it's customs, it's these weird things that these people do that I have no idea what it means, right? There's no sense that this is relevant to my life. But when you show people, wow, you know what? Your most core drives and the most core things that you want in life, Judaism has the best advice for you to get them. How could a person not say, I want to learn that more, I want to dive into that more, right? They have to really have a real block, which some people do, by the way, but they have to have a real block or be really intellectually dishonest to not want to go to the next step. Yeah? Questions on that one? Thoughts? Make sense? Okay. So guys, you guys came in. We're going through the 10, what I call the 10 paradigm shifts, the 10 core ideas of Judaism that most people don't know, or at least if we can show them that, it gets them to totally change the way they look at Judaism. Okay?
That's number one.
That was number one. Yeah, you have a question?
What is the rabbi's name?
Rabbi Mathias. Rabbi Mathias, yeah. Okay, so number one was Judaism has the universal drive that every person wants. Judaism is the path to get it. Okay, number two. Now, this one I hope you've heard, but I personally find, I once asked Rabbi Weinberg, I'm sitting on a plane, I'm sitting on a bus, I meet a Jew for the first time. What's the first idea? What's the most core first idea I should try to teach them? Okay? And he told me the following. He said that every human being is made up of a body and a soul, and our choice in life is to identify with our soul. Right? So let's unpack that a little bit, right? So every human being, right? And this, by the way, I had mentioned before when we were talking in the first one that the second one answers it. And we were talking about, you said some people might say, okay, I'm happy with my job. I'm happy, right? So it's showing them maybe that was the third one. Okay, whatever. We'll keep going.
It's about order.
What's that?
Okay, it's about order.
Yeah, no. There was a question we asked before, and I said the second one's going to answer it, but I can't remember now. So we all know, right? Beginning of Bereshis, Kadosh Baruch Hu creates us, right? Man from the Adamah, from the ground, and blows a soul into him. We are created from the body and the soul, and our body and our soul want different things, right? I always say from literally the moment we wake up in the morning, right? You wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, right? What is your soul saying? Let's go. We got a lot to accomplish, right? It's going to be an amazing day. And what's our body saying? Hit the snooze button, right? And by the way, when I teach to people, I always like to say, you know what? Right now, your body and soul are fighting. You know what your soul is saying? Wow, I can learn something. This is right. I could use this. You know what your body's saying? Wait, what time is it? What did I forget? I forgot the dry cleaning. Oh, my phone just buzzed, right? Your body is fighting it tooth and nail.
Why is the body louder?
Why? Depends on the person. It's supposed to be pretty even. That's the way Hashem created us, is that it's supposed to be even, so we have bechira, we have free will, and we can choose the soul, right? If the soul was stronger than the body, then we wouldn't really be earning it,
The
right?
more you feed one, the louder it gets.
Yeah, it's true, but that means our soul is also getting stronger, right? So it's supposed to be somewhat even, but wherever that is, not the Mesilas Yesharim.
Miftamiliano.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. No, he talks about the battlefield, right? You know, the mushal of the battlefield. So the battlefield is the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov are always in a battlefield, which is the body and the soul. Our goal is just to keep moving the battlefield, and right. But there's always going to be the battle. So, so literally when you can help a person understand that every decision they make in their life, literally every point they get in their life, right, is a decision between their body and their soul. And then you help them understand what those two different drives are. So what does the soul want? The soul, all those things we mentioned before. The soul wants happiness. The soul wants meaning. The soul wants to be good. The soul wants to be great. The soul wants to accomplish things in this world, right? All those core drives that we talked about, those are soul drives. That's what our soul really wants. And that's why when we accomplish those things, when we do something real, that really we feel happy, that we really feel meaning, right? Wow, we feel energized, right? What does our body want? Our body literally wants to go back. Like the way that I understand it is the soul wants to go back to where it came from, right? Which is a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So that means everything that's meaning and purposeful and good, what does the body want? The body literally wants to go back to sleep. It wants to just leave me alone, man. Just let me turn off the lights, right? It's like, why are you waking me up? It's only 11 a.m., wants to go back to sleep because that's literally, it came from the dirt. So what's so powerful about this idea is that when a person can come and understand they have these drives and they become conscious that they want to choose their soul, right? First of all, often if they don't feel like doing something, right? You can help them understand, but it's really your body that doesn't feel like doing it. Your soul wants to do it. You can help people make healthier decisions, right? A lot of times, in my experience, is you can explain, people can understand something. Go back to the original, or the example we gave before. Rather be happy or rich, right? Oh, that was what I wanted to reference when I said we'll come back to it, right? Rather be happy or rich. So we all know we'd rather be happy, but why do we all jump at being rich? Because that's our body. The body wants to be rich, right? Because he can buy a lot of things, he can buy a lot of comfort, right? But the soul wants happiness, and that's the battle. So when a person jumps for the money over the happiness, it's their body winning that battle. They're choosing their body over their soul, right? So, and by the way, one of Ray Weinberg used to say, the litmus test, right? When you have a decision to make, and you're not sure, sometimes it's not so clear what the body wants and what the soul wants, right? So he would say, think about, what do you feel like doing versus what do you really want to do, right? So if you ask yourself right now, if I'm living as a soul, what do I really want to do? What am I going to really feel is the right thing to do, right? That's your soul. What I feel like doing, right, is the body, right? So when it's, for literally the 16th time in the day, when my 8-year-old has, given like an elbow to, my 6-year-old, right? And what do I feel like doing? Taking a bat and cracking him in the head, right? What do I want to do? I want to be patient. I want to be a good father. I want to try to teach him so he can act better, right? That's what I really want to do, but I feel like, throwing him through a window, right? It's the same thing. We all have those, right? You walk in, someone gives you a nasty look, right? Or someone, takes your seat or whatever it might be, right? What do I feel like doing? I feel like getting up and telling the guy off, right? But what do I want to do? I want to be a good person. I want to be an accepting person. I want to be dam l'chaf, right? So that is the battle.
How can you, what about, I want to go to a 3-day festival in Tel Aviv.
You feel like going.
Why?
Well, it depends. It depends. So that's why you're identifying your drive. Is this going to get me to feel more meaningful? That I'm a better person, that I'm accomplishing my goals in life, that I'm moving towards something that I really want to accomplish? That's what you really want to do, right? You feel like doing. Now, it could be for a person that connects them spiritually, or they're going there to connect with people. There's certain things that are obviously just the body, right? And there's certain things that are pretty clear the soul, but there's gray area, right? The question is, it could be like, at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. You know what? I just want to go and veg out and do something. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's only my body. It could be my soul is saying you need to chill. So you have to really be able to look and say, like, is this helping me accomplish who I really want to be? The person that, like, when I get stuck in this mode, I try to think that, like, who is that person that I want to be, right? If I was really like, okay, I want to be calm, I want to be kind, I want to be patient, I want to be loving, I want to have wisdom, like that. So anything that's driving you that way, that's the soul. Anything that's driving you to like, right? Or it could be, right, other physical desires or drives that we have, food, taking out like, or staying up later than I want to stay up, right? I have that problem, right? I know like I should go to sleep at a certain time, and always after that time, I'm wasting my time doing things that I should not be doing, right? So if I just stopped and said, what do I really want to be doing right now, right? If I'm the person I want to be, the answer is very clear. But what do I feel like doing? I feel like wasting my time because for some reason I think it's going to make me happy, right? Yeah.
But all those things originally stem from the soul, meaning even the things that come out negative, right? So if it's like you were saying, a clear example of wanting to just chill,
Yeah.
right? Because it's healthy to recharge, so you can do other things, and then it just comes down to the lower level of the body and saying, okay, the body says I should do this, but really maybe I need to chill, but I just need to do it and channel it this way. So sometimes it's like even when you're angry, so anger is considered a bad thing, but
Yes.
it may not necessarily be coming from an impure place. It's just coming from
Yeah.
something that
No, for
doesn't
sure.
align.
But you're giving
Showing
a more nuanced, correct version of it. What I find is first you have to help people understand there's the two drives. If they're not even aware that they have a body and a soul and they have these two drives. But again, what I find for most people is it's very intuitive. And they might like, okay, the soul, what is the soul, right? But everyone understands. I always like kid with people, you know, like you have the angel, the devil on your shoulder, right? We all understand. If you give people enough examples like we just did, people understand there's the two drives, and you're trying to get them to identify with them. You're right. The next, the master's degree of it is understanding, no, you don't have to fight the body. You can bring the body around to be your partner. That's absolutely true, right?
You're saying first step is
The first step is to
identifying
get,
that they're separate.
exactly. Because then what you're helping people do is you're helping them choose to be a soul. You're helping them choose spirituality. You're helping them choose to want to come closer to God and meaning. You might not be really using those words, right? But that's what Torah is. That's what we're doing all day, is trying to help people understand, right?
Yeah.
Don't focus on the physical, focus on the spiritual. That's really where you're going to be happy and get meaning and pleasure and all of these things. Yeah.
And you find most people, somebody still has to be open to the idea that there is a spiritual realm and there is a soul. If somebody just is completely closed off to that, then
Right.
they might not hear that.
Right.
So I guess in that case, you could then present it as just two drives within
Exactly.
oneself.
Exactly.
Pick one.
I try to go to the soul right away because what I find is that, just in my experience, I don't want to say most people, but many people, they're not against it. You know, there was I think it was the Pew study. I don't remember exactly, but there was a study done of American Jews in the last 10 years. And one of the questions they asked them, do you believe in God? Okay. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but the Eric, okay, it was the amount of Jews who said, I don't believe in God, was I think at most 20%. At most. The biggest percentage of people, I don't know. That's what they say, right? Which means what I find from that is that those people, you can talk about God, you can talk about the soul. They might not be on the same page, but they're not against it. They're not like, oh, this guy's crazy, right? But yeah, but like I said, if you see that someone's like pushing back on that, or that's just what, then yeah, you talk about two drives. You have what you feel like doing, you have and you have, you know, what you want to do. And generally if you go with what you, but you can say, now in Judaism, that's what we call it, the soul. That's the drive of your soul. So now they're like, oh, I like that. I want to learn more about, right?
What if
That
someone's
one's
go against that? Like
if they're really against it?
and you can't even broach that subject of soul and like separate.
So I like to go, people, there's obviously always exceptions, but generally what I find is that, people are open to learning information. I started when I gave my background. When I first came to Aish, I was like, I'm never going to do any of this stuff, but I should learn about it, right? So if you're presenting it as a way of like, well, this is just what Judaism says. This is what Judaism believes. I'm not saying you have to believe it. I'm not saying I'm proving it to you. you innately know there's these two drives, right? You agree, most people will say, yeah, I get that. Okay, in Judaism, we call that the body and the soul. And if you go, and in fact, people find that interesting. Many people, by the way, even if they're not religious, have heard, the idea that God, created man from the earth and blew into his nostrils. Like they've heard that reference, so that, oh wow, I never understood. Like, so
instead of painting it as like, believe me,
this
when
is
I
your
tell
body.
you,
Yeah.
this is it. You're more saying the idea I'm trying to convey is looked at in this type of way through
Exactly.
Judaism, and that's how you're trying
Exactly. And then, depending on, if they stick around, you can start using that terminology as you move forward. And eventually, either they're going to say, which I've had them say, Rabbi, I don't really know there's a soul. Like, you keep talking about this, right? Or I'll have people, I'm talking about God, and like 5 to 10 classes in, like, I don't really believe in God. Like, oh, okay, so let's talk about it. But by the way, we'll end with this. If you got someone to the point where they're now bringing that up with you and asking you that question, that's amazing, right? Because now you're about to have a conversation with someone about God. When like 2 weeks ago you were talking about the Knicks, right? And now you're talking about God. It's like unbelievable, right? So that if you don't, it's not like you have to get everyone on board the first time, right? So, but I do think these two ideas, what's so powerful about them is that they're intuitive to everyone. People do intuitively know they're true. Maybe that last step of the soul is something that's not quite there, but people believe it. Once you show them, again, well, Judaism's helping you have the most meaning, blah, 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 and Judaism's helping you make the right choices that's going to make you feel and that you're living the most meaningful life, and people are like, okay, that's amazing, right? So those are the first two. There's 10 of these. We'll keep going through them. We got more choices. So just so you guys know, by the way, in this schedule, because it's actually going to be divided between 3 of us. You don't have to care about this at all, but I'm just letting you know so people don't feel like this is like hefker. So Sundays and Wednesdays I'm going to be teaching. Tuesdays and Thursdays Reb Dov Bear is going to be teaching. And on Mondays, Rabbi Yaakov Palatnik. I know some of you know Rabbi Yaakov Palatnik. He's going to be coming on Mondays, and that's how we're going to divide the time. So hopefully it'll be practical and be able to go through it all.
So the two, just like in the
Yeah.
labels, how would you say that the first two are? The first one?
So the first one is that there are universals that there's universal drives that every person wants, right? And the second one is that every human being has a body and a soul. Identify with your soul.
Meaning to start making it resonate with them, relatable, and then
Exactly. Okay. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to take attendance. So I'm sorry I don't know everybody's name. I'm just going to call out the names and tell me if you're here. Yossi Applebaum. No. Noah. Zion. Long name. Andrew.
here.
Yeah. Jesse Blander. No. Daniel Clapper.
Yes.
Yeah. Joshua Cohen. Not here.
He's not well.
Oh, okay. Dylan Coleman.
Yeah.
Great. Dylan's here. David Esagoff.
Yeah.
Great. Nathan Levy. Daniel Rader. No, Ari Zlotnick.
Yeah, he's not.
Okay, great. Anyone who's here that I didn't call your name. Am I your name?
That's an L.
That's a no. What's your last name?
Manner. M-A-N-N-O-R.
M-N.
M-A-N-N-O-R. Yoni Bloom.
Okay. Did you guys sign up for this one?
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay the way you did. Okay, fine.
I'm supposed to be like showing up Sunday, so.
Okay, great. Amazing.
REA clear.
REA
Clear.
here.